He terrified the inhabitants of the Cretaceous period, surpassing them all in size and aggressiveness. His power and appetite were unprecedented. He demonstrated his skills not only in water, but also on land, moving easily. Every risk-taker who existed at that time will face him. A Spinosaurus, the African ruler of the Cretaceous period. However, is it possible to say that Spinosaurus had no equal in the battle for prey and dominance? Let's consider this question. We do not deny its strength and thirst for blood, but this huge lizard also had its shortcomings. The most significant minus was the ego sail. This part of the body, located on top, causes interest and questions. Why did the Spinosaurus need this sail? The function of the ego remains a mystery. The sail can resemble the fin of a thresher shark and serve to ensure hydrodynamic characteristics. He helped to collect fish in spherical shoals, just like a hammerhead shark. This allowed the Spinosaurus to swallow large portions of food at once. In addition, the Spinosaurus tail was used to stun prey, similar to what the hammerhead shark does. The sail also helped to resist the current and improved movement in the water. However, in fights with other predators, this sail could become a hindrance, not to be useless, but even to interfere with its owner. Let's dive into the first battle between Spinosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus. Let's consider all the aspects that give Spinosaurus an advantage, starting with its face, or rather its muzzle, and its strength, demonstrated in this fascinating video. It clearly shows how Spinosaurus easily defeats Carcharodontosaurus. But should we accept it as the truth without any skepticism? Let's find out. So, let's consider the advantages of the Spinosaurus, which immediately catch the eye. Its amazingly powerful muzzle and incredible strength. However, the dimensions in question have some differences. Spinosaurus was 15 meters long, while Carcharodontosaurus was 14.5 meters long. This difference of a couple of tens of centimeters, in the case of such giants, is not so significant. The weight of the Spinosaurus was estimated at 7 to 8 tons, while the Carcharodontosaurus weighed 9 tons. The difference in everything also turns out to be not so cumbersome. So, let's move on to the question of the sail, which was one of the key attributes of Carcharodontosaurus. The sail served as a way to attract females and regulate body temperature. In battles, however, it had the opposite effect. Because of this sailing anatomy, the Spinosaurus was at a disadvantage in front of the Carcharodontosaurus. Such an attribute could well turn out to be an interfering factor. The next aspect is the force of the bite. Carcharodontosaurus had powerful jaws, strong muscles and large teeth, which contributed to a strong hold on prey, while the Spinosaurus, comparatively, had weaker muscles in the area of the jaws and teeth, rather adapted for hunting fish. However, Spinosaurus had its own unique advantages. For example, it had one of the largest forelimbs among dinosaurs. This fact can be highlighted in favor of Spinosaurus, which is an interesting contrasting feature compared to Carcharodontosaurus. Fresh research sheds new light on an interesting aspect: the forelimbs of terrestrial theropods, which, as it turned out, are close in size to those of a Tyrannosaurus. However, despite this, there are a number of other factors that determine the speed of movement and maneuverability, where Carcharodontosaurus takes the top position. It is noteworthy that the characteristic sail of the Spinosaurus could have a negative effect on its speed of movement. While the Spinosaurus could develop a speed of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, the Carcharodontosaurus surpassed it, reaching 45 to 50 kilometers per hour. The final ratio of 70% in favor of Carcharodontosaurus and 30% in favor of Spinosaurus draws attention to the gain in speed of Carcharodontosaurus. Let's move to the era of the confrontation between Spinosaurus and Arcosuchus. Both lizards preferred aquatic production, living near freshwater reservoirs. Adults of both species sometimes attacked herbivorous dinosaurs that crossed their territory. In this context, the largest representative of Arcosuchus, such as Arcosuchus imperator, reached 12 meters in length, while Spinosaurus had a size of 15 meters. Do not forget that the Spinosaurus's height advantage gave it more chances to reach the enemy's vulnerable points. However, the weight of Arcosuchus slightly exceeded the weight of Spinosaurus, and was 8 tons compared to 7 tons of Spinosaurus. This insignificant difference in everything was compensated by a more compact and stable structure of the body in Sarcosuchus. And finally, against the background of all these factors, an interesting aspect remains: height. Here the Spinosaurus is also useful, having an advantage in height compared to the Sarcosuchus. This aspect plays a key role in determining the outcome of the fight. Spinosaurs, it should be taken into account, belong to the category of more powerful predators, rising up to 6 meters above the ground. Comparatively, Sarcosuchus have a height of 1.5 meters and move like modern crocodiles, with the help of crawlers on 4 limbs. The difference in height has a negative impact not only on the ability to see the enemy, for example, like an ancient alligator that only sees the legs of a Spinosaurus. This also affects the maneuverability and area of attack. During the collision, the Sarcosuchus can attack only the lower part of the opponent's body, trying to knock him off balance and knock him down, while the Spinosaurus is able to attack from all sides, using needle-like teeth designed to grab fish. Even clenching the jaws did not allow to hold a large opponent, so the crocodile-like Sarcosuchus constantly broke free from its grip and attacked again. We should not forget about the additional arsenals of Sarcosuchus: massive knobs and incisors on the upper jaw, which could be used as wings for the enemy's legs. At the same time, the additional structures on the back of the Spinosaurus did not give it an advantage in battle, but rather the opposite. When falling on the side, the crest increased the risk of damage to the spine, especially considering the vessels flowing in the lower part of the crest, making it a vulnerable place. Summing up all these factors, the probability of victory of a Spinosaurus is estimated at 60%, while Sarcosuchus have a 40% probability of victory. And on the example of another skirmish, the battle of the Spinosaurus against the Indominus Rex, it becomes clear that the latter is an amazingly cunning and genetically improved hunter. Indominus Rex, possessing raptor DNA, has increased speed and agility, which makes it superior in these aspects compared to Spinosaurus. The sail on the back, characteristic of Spinosaurs, can make them less maneuverable. Indominus Rex, the embodiment of the best characteristics of dangerous predators, gives him the role of a dominant predator created by man, more agile and strong than a Tyrannosaurus. In terms of weight and size, it is not inferior to a Spinosaurus and is able to be on its back without any problems. Let's remember that the genetic code of this creature contains the genes of a velociraptor, which allows it to be similar to a chameleon and merge with the surrounding nature. This is an incredible advantage that gives him power and cunning. Faced with strength and endurance, this predator has amazing endurance. In 90% of cases, Spinosaurs are defeated, while Indominus has only a 10% chance of success. However, ahead of us is the final battle, in which the Spinosaurus will meet the Megalodon, a giant shark. It is obvious that they lived in different eras and did not intersect in time. Megalodon ruled the seas and oceans, while Spinosaurs lived near freshwater reservoirs. Despite the fact that both could swim, it is interesting to imagine what the outcome would have been if the meeting had happened. Let's take a look at the size of the predators. The Spinosaurus is 15 meters long, as well as the Megalodon. However, the weight of Megalodon, ranging from 35 to 45 tons, exceeds the weight of Spinosaurus, which is only 7 tons. Another interesting factor is the ability to swim. Spinosaurus was a good swimmer, but not as good as Megalodon. Megalodon's life was largely underwater, while Spinosaurus often had to appear on land due to its anatomical features. But let's imagine that the battle of these two predators took place in water that is suitable for both marine and freshwater inhabitants. If the battle was fought in water, Megalodon, being both for marine and freshwater environments, could use its bite, intended for catching small fish, against Spinosaurus. However, his teeth, although they could inflict serious wounds, would not allow him to break through such a massive shark. Spinosaurus movements underwater were less agile, in contrast to Megalodon, due to the characteristic arrangement of fins and rounded shape. To summarize, the jaws of modern white sharks leave marks even on metal structures, showing the force of their bite. Megalodon's teeth could easily bite even the iron frame of a ship. Spinosaurus had no such advantage. As a result, the probability of victory in this difficult battle is estimated at 80% in favor of the Megalodon, leaving 20% of the chances for the Spinosaurus. This video is presented for entertainment and educational purposes, and we hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel.